Okay, let's be real for a second. The words annotated bibliography don't exactly scream excitement, do they? They can sound kind of dry, maybe even a little intimidating. But what if I told you it was actually your secret weapon for research? Today, we're going to transform this assignment from just another box to check into a powerful tool you can use to build a really killer argument.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Instead of just some forgotten list you tack on at the end of your paper, what if you had a tool that was actively helping you shape your ideas, test out your claims, and organize all your evidence before you even start writing the actual paper? Well, that is exactly what we are building today.
So here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about why this is your research superpower. Then we're going to break down the anatomy of a perfect entry. After that, we'll get into your 3-source mission, and we'll wrap up with how to master all the little details for a polished submission.
All right, so first up, why am I calling this a research superpower? Well, it all starts with understanding that this is not just about listing your sources. It's about fundamentally changing how you think about them. Here's the core difference right here. You see, a standard works cited page, that's just a silent list. All it does is prove you used some sources. But an annotated bibliography, well, that's a dynamic conversation. It forces you to actually engage with every single source, to question it, to really understand it, and to figure out precisely how it fits into your bigger argument.
Okay, so this whole conversation with your sources, what does that actually look like on the page? Let's deconstruct a perfect entry, piece by piece, so you can see exactly how it's built.
So this is what we're aiming for with every single source. It's really just a simple formula. You have the citation, and then you add your notes on authority, the summary, and your evaluation. It might look like a lot at first glance, but it's just 4 distinct parts, and each one has a very clear job to do. Let's pull them apart. First up, we've got the foundation, the citation itself. This has to be in perfect MLA format. You can think of it like the source's formal address. It lets anybody find it easily. And hey, don't forget that key formatting detail, the hanging indent. That's where the first line is all the way to the left, and every line after that is indented.
Next, you get to play detective. In just 2 or 3 sentences, you're going to answer 2 simple questions. Who is this author? Are they a big-shot professor, a journalist, a researcher? And who were they writing for? A bunch of other academics, or just the general public? Answering these questions is your very first step in figuring out if a source is credible.
All right, part 3 is the summary. And the big rule here is super simple. Be completely objective. Your only job here is to accurately explain the source's main argument. You've got to save your own opinions for the next step. This part is just a clear, factual report of what the source actually says. And now for the final piece, and honestly, this is the most important one, the evaluation. This is where you finally get to step in. Here, you'll assess the source's credibility, you'll point out any biases, and, this is the critical part, you'll explain exactly how you plan to use it. Is it going to provide key evidence? Will you use it as a counterargument? This is the paragraph that connects the source directly to your own research project.
Okay, you know the what, so now let's get into the how. Here is your 3-source mission for this week.
Your goal is really simple and totally manageable. We're not building this entire thing at once. For this week, you are just focusing on creating 3. 3 strong, well-developed entries, that's it. Just 3. But wait, it's not just any 3 sources. Your mission is to pick 1 primary source, that's the main text you're analyzing, and 2 secondary sources, which are usually those academic articles that are going to help you build your analysis. This specific combination is what creates a really powerful foundation for your research. And here's your repeatable workflow. For each of those 3 sources, you're just going to follow these exact same 4 steps. First, create the citation. Second, write the authority statement. Third, draft the objective summary. And fourth, write your evaluation and relevance. Just follow that pattern 3 times over. Now, I want to point out a really important, kind of subtle difference here, especially when you're writing that summary paragraph. For your primary source, you're going to focus on the themes you plan to analyze. But for a secondary source, you're explaining the author's specific argument. Think of it like this. One is about explaining your analytical starting point, and the other is about describing the scholarly conversation you're about to join. All right, you've done all the hard intellectual work. Now let's just make sure it looks fantastic. Time for some pro tips to get this thing polished and ready to go.
Look, don't let the easy stuff trip you up at the finish line. Just run through this quick checklist before you submit. Make sure you're using 12-point Times New Roman, everything is double-spaced, you've got 1-inch margins, and every single citation has that hanging indent. This is what shows that you're paying attention to detail.
And one last thing, and this is super important on the technical side. Make sure you submit your file as a Word document. That's a doc or a .docx. Absolutely no PDFs, and please, no links to Google Docs. Following these rules just ensures your work gets seen and graded without any issues.
So if there's one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this. An annotated bibliography is not an act of listing things. It's an act of thinking. It's the intellectual groundwork where your final argument really starts to come alive. And that leaves us with a final thought to get you started. Take a look at the sources you've gathered so far. Which one of them is going to be the absolute cornerstone of your argument? Start with that one. Your conversation begins now.